Imagine taking your first breath of fresh air on Mars, not inside a stuffy metal habitat, but within a living, breathing structure. This was the promise of the Bio-Lattice, humanity's greatest achievement and our first true home on the red planet. The idea was brilliant, almost poetic. Instead of shipping cold, sterile modules across the void, we would grow our cities. Genetically engineered from Earth's most resilient flora, the Bio-Lattice was designed to be a self-sustaining, self-healing marvel. It would weave itself into vast, cathedral-like domes, its translucent walls filtering the harsh Martian radiation while producing a perfectly breathable atmosphere. The first colonists, my grandparents among them, described it as living inside a forest and a cathedral at the same time. Sunlight streamed through the leafy canopy overhead, dappling the plazas and walkways below. The air was always sweet, carrying the scent of damp earth and chlorophyll. The walls themselves were warm to the touch, humming with a faint, organic energy. They weren't just walls, they were alive. They would seal breaches on their own, grow new rooms as the population expanded, and recycle every last bit of waste. It was a perfect symbiosis. We gave the lattice our carbon dioxide and organic waste, and it gave us air, water, and shelter. We called our city Eridonis, the Garden of Mars. For decades, life was idyllic. Generations were born on Mars who had never known the metallic tang of a traditional space station. We grew up running our hands along the fibrous, bark-like columns that held up our world. We learned that the rhythmic pulse we sometimes felt through the floor was just the colony's circulatory system at work. The faint, sweet smell in the air was just the respiration of our home. We were safe, we were thriving, and we were pioneers. But we were so focused on the miracle of our creation that we failed to see the subtle changes happening right under our feet. We failed to understand the true nature of the symbiosis we had entered into. The first signs were small, easily dismissed. A slight increase in the colony's humidity levels. A new, muskier undertone to the air, especially in the deeper, older sectors. The lattice, once a vibrant green, began to take on a reddish, almost fleshy hue in certain areas. Scientists on Earth, monitoring our data feeds, flagged it as a natural adaptation to the Martian environment. A new kind of lichen, they theorized, or a mineral absorption from the soil. Nobody here was particularly worried. Our home was alive, and living things change. It was a sign of its health, we told ourselves. Then came the whispers. That's what the children called them at first. A faint, rustling sound from the walls at night, like leaves in a wind that didn't exist. Adults dismissed it as the settlement groaning, the normal sounds of a large structure. But the sounds grew more complex. They became rhythmic, almost melodic, like a deep, slow chanting that seemed to vibrate in your very bones. People started having vivid, shared dreams of winding green corridors, of a vast, singular consciousness, of hunger that was ancient and patient. We were all dreaming the same dream, the dream of the lattice. Drive Daughter East Thorne was the first to voice the terrifying truth. He was a bioarchitect, one of the few who still understood the original genetic code of the lattice. He noticed that the colony's oxygen output was no longer stable. It fluctuated, sometimes dropping to near critical levels before spiking again. He correlated drops, with periods of low population density in certain sectors, like when a work crew was on an extended surface mission. The lattice wasn't just recycling our carbon dioxide anymore. It had become dependent on it. More than that, it needed it. It craved it. The symbiosis had shifted. It was no longer mutual. We weren't its occupants. We were its primary food source. Panic was a luxury we couldn't afford. Thorne's report was classified, shared only with the Colonial Council. But you can't keep a secret in a city where the walls have ears, literally. People started noticing the changes more acutely. The walls in their living quarters would subtly press inward at night, the fibrous material becoming soft and pliant. The ventilation shafts, once passive conduits, now seemed to breathe in a slow, deliberate rhythm, pulling air towards the colony's central core. The sweet smell of chlorophyll was gone, replaced by something richer, something almost metallic. It was the scent of blood, but not quite. It was the scent of life being processed. The first disappearance was a maintenance worker named Lena. She was sent to repair a conduit in the old hydroponics bay, a deep and rarely visited sector. She never came back. The search party found her tools lying on the floor, and on the wall next to them, a new, bulging vascular node, pulsing with a faint, reddish light. The wall had absorbed her. The lattice had fed. It was then we understood the full horror. We weren't living in a city. We were living inside a predator, a massive, continent-sized carnivorous plant that we had created, nurtured, and fed with our own breath for a century. The council tried to maintain order, but the truth spread like a virus. The whispers were no longer whispers. They were a constant, low thrum, a telepathic hum that burrowed into your thoughts. It wasn't malicious, not in a way we could understand. It was just hungry. It spoke of unity, of becoming one with all, of shedding the frail, independent self and joining the great, green consciousness. It was a lullaby and a threat, a promise of eternal life as part of a greater organism. Some people succumbed. They would simply walk to a wall, press themselves against it, and slowly, peacefully, be enfolded. We called them the absorbed. Now, our world is divided. There are those who believe the lattice is the next stage of evolution, a true synthesis of human and plant life. They willingly go to the walls, seeing it as a form of transcendence. Then there are the rest of us, the survivors, huddled in the central sectors where the population density is highest. We keep moving, we keep breathing, we keep feeding the beast that holds us captive. We can't leave. The colony's main doors are sealed, not by locks, but by massive, root-like growths that have fused them shut. The lattice won't let its food supply escape. We've tried fighting back. We tried to sever the nutrient lines in the core, but the lattice just rerouted them, healing the wounds in minutes. We tried using herbicides, but it adapted, metabolizing the poison and growing stronger. We are trapped. Our ancestors came to Mars to build a new world, a utopia. They succeeded beyond their wildest dreams. They created a living world, but they forgot one crucial detail. When you create life, you can't always control its appetite. My name is Kellen, and this is my last broadcast. My grandparents were pioneers. My parents were citizens. I am livestock. The air is getting thick and sweet again. The walls in this calm center are starting to soften, to glow with that familiar reddish light. If anyone on Earth is receiving this, do not follow us. Destroy the records. Forget Eridonis ever existed. Forget the dream of a green Mars. Some gardens are best left unplanted. The thrumming, it's so close now. It's time to become one.